Okie dokie. So let's get started. So I'm sorry, but the first thing that I'm going to do is to put all of you mute. Let's see if that works. Mute all. Yes, good. It's good to be right. Nobody can complain. Yeah, but of course, the only one that can talk is Eddy. So I'm trying to unmute Eddy. Hello, Eddy. Hello, Eddy. Yeah, good. Now,
All right.
All right. Okay. Let's get started. So thank you very much for being there. So what are we? So this is a tech talk. So the idea is that we find SKUs, so where we get together and we discuss technical topics. As I was saying, is in the same way as we would discuss in a coffee corner. So what do we do as technical people, except of talking about work, right? So yeah, then let's force the SKUs to discuss technical topics and to learn something. So that's the principle of the TED talk. So you should be getting a coffee and a cookie. Huh? So that's the first requisite. Then I put everyone on mute, just like kind of a housekeeping. But this is an open discussion, right? But just to let the speaker to focus, everyone is on mute, but the chat is open. So the idea is that while the presenter is presenting, I'm going to be monitoring the chat. We can discuss on the chat, and then we can stop the presentation with questions whatever is needed. Anyways, at the end of the chat, we can address those questions as well. So, of course, we like to have your feedback and your ideas, and everyone in this call is subject to be a presenter, right? So, whatever you want to share, want to discuss, whatever we are doing that I think is interesting, or whatever you want to discuss because you want to know more, don't hesitate to tell us. We are going to create the opportunity. So, in that sense, we have Eddy today. So most of you know Eddy. I'm sorry, Eddy, my phone is still live. Most of you know Eddy, but Eddy is a very good DB2 for LUW DBA. And he has a side that is quite interesting. I have seen Eddy creating very nice scripts in other projects and the project where we are working now together. And it's something that I think that whatever you are, a system engineer or a DBA or just managing systems, there is a moment where you need to create small scripts for your own use. So Eddy knows a lot about that, and Eddy is going to explain best practices. Especially, it's going to show us the value of having a script template, right? On that, Eddy, up to you.
Thank you. I start by sharing my screen.
Yeah, I'm making you presenter.
Voila. Do you guys see something?
Not yet.
Then I go try again. So screen 2, share.
Now we see something coming.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you, Eddy. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I've seen in the participant list a few people that I know, so I would like to welcome you all. I cannot shake hands at this time, but welcome all. Christian already told a bit about what I'm going to talk about, but I wanted to make the scope a little bit wider, and then at the end tune a little bit in on to what he said. Actually having the script templates in place and what are the benefits of this all. Should you have somewhere have a question, you can always pop these questions via the chat to Christian. And whenever he thinks that it is a showstopper, then he will hold me and tell me what to do. And in the other case, at the end, we will handle your questions if you should still have some. All right. So having a script template, why is this topic come up? So when I start working at a new client, or when someone enters the building as a new person, then you always see that this person that they are how I have to say it, that they have a background of their own. So they have been educated by other people. They have learned a whole lot of topics, and that kind of knowledge they bring along, and they come into a new company, and they are trying to search for anchor points where they can put their knowledge into use. And when you are receiving such a person, then that information that you get from all right. So sorry, I was going a little bit too fast. I want to go first over the agenda. So the introduction, I started a bit on it. Later on, I will talk a bit about the inventory, innovation, implementation, illustration, and then I had to search for another word starting with an I. I had somehow the feeling that I wanted to start all topics with an I. And so at the end, we have an inquiry, which is actually close to, if you have questions, you can pop them at that point. So the introduction, I started a bit. So whenever new blood comes into a company, those people bring in their knowledge, they bring in their capabilities, and they're trying to fit that into the new company. And when you get someone like that in your hands, then you'll have to then you have a struggle all the time. Okay, we have a whole lot of things in place, and they're nice. They are working for many years. Maybe they have been tested and retested, and now someone else comes in with new ideas. And how are we going to give a nice place of this knowledge into our new company? What you come up with is for sure that you start explaining this man or woman what are the procedures that the company is having, what the conventions are, and if there are already any guidelines available. And you'll have to mix a bit the new ideas that are coming forth, if you can have them already integrated, or if it's a good idea to have them integrated into your new environment. What is at that point a possible caveat, because you have your procedures, you have your conventions, you have your guidelines, but in a way they should not be a gatekeeper to prevent new thoughts and new ideas and new ways of thinking to come into your daily way of working. And if you have all your procedures and your conventions and your guidelines, there are a point of reference for all the newbies, but if you think of it and you make them available in a correct way, then they are also a very valid and a very resourceful pool of knowledge for everyone in the company itself. So also for the veterans, the old guys. Now, in this case, I'm a little bit talking about my own experience when at the moment that I started working at Allianz, which is now 2-3 months ago. And when I came in, I had Gunther and Christian trying to guide me and not to be too much of a loose missile. And I started to create an inventory with, okay, whatever are they telling me? So what is there? And when I have that inventory, what am I actually missing? So with my experience of other customers or other work environments, what did I learn there? And is there something that could be put to good use here? So at that point, I started to create an inventory. And at that point, when I actually have that inventory, then we have to check one by one if these points on that list, if they are actually a benefit, and if there are a benefit, is it worth that we are going to proceed with that one and trying to give or work out a better solution for whatever that is missing. And yeah, what I'm actually doing is trying to make an inventory of what for me are the building blocks. Now at this point, it's kind of very a building block can be a whole lot of things. It can be, for one, a procedure. Is a procedure missing, for example, to deploy some kind of an application, or am I missing user IDs? Am I missing the IP addresses of servers, and so on and so forth? So it can be anything if you want. And actually, when people are working or trying to do a deployment, then you actually come up with runbooks. But when someone news entered the building, no one, or at least I never had one, a runbook to bring newbies up to speed so that they are on their feet as fast as possible. Okay, like I said, the moment I arrived at Allianz, I had Günther and Christian to help me out to compile that inventory list. And once that list was roughly done, because it's not that we went to in the very, very deep extents, but we notified, or we saw quite quickly a few points where we could act on. So we created the inventory list, and out of this inventory list, we created on a Kanban board by using the software Confluence. We created a whole set of tasks. Now, those tasks were not only for me to do, so they were divided across the 3 people. And what we could not directly assign, we put it in the big basket, the to-do list. But we have by now a Kanban with the inventory all separated or divided into tasks. The first thing that they told me to put the emphasis a little bit on was to create a script template. And that is actually also the topic of this meeting, is to talk about a bit from how I try to put the script template into motion. So if we were thinking about a script template, we were thinking about to have naming conventions not only for the scripts themselves, but also naming conventions of, okay, where are we going to put the result of our scripts, and should we put the log files in those same directories, or should we better put them somewhere else? Because if you do not do something like that, then maybe you are going to make one big directory with too many things in it, so that you will lose oversight. How are we going to try to document scripts, and so on and so forth? What I also thought of at that point is, okay, when you are going to create a script, everyone actually always invents the wheel time over time again. If you stop doing that, and if you put these little knowledge thingies into libraries which can be reused afterwards, then you start also to start, and you start to work in a similar way, or you combine your forces and you don't have to invent all the things all over again. Once that something is put in a library and it is tested many times and you use it, then you also are assured of the quality what is already in such a library. All right. The implementation itself. So I had it divided up in three steps. So I have a script to handle all the DB2 related parts. What does that mean? So the template that I created has a whole lot of hooks, let's call it, where you can start adding your own coding, but it's divided in as such so that every script which is derived from the template script, that they all look the same, and that there are ones that you get acquainted to it, easier to read because you find your information always on the same spot. When having a script that communicates with DB2, you'll see that you also have a whole lot of functionalities which come back over and over again. You could do that every time, code it every time over again in the script template, or you could combine them in a library. And that's what I started to do. So whatever that was a reoccurrent stuff, I put it in a library, so that like that I can have, for example, the moment that I want to connect to a database, it is put into the library. So my template script will call a function from the library to connect to a database. Same goes for disconnecting. Same goes for checking to which database I'm connected on, and that kind of stuff. So whatever that all these little features which you have to search on every time over and over again, I put them in one single library. Now, if you start doing that, you'll come up after a while that actually there are a whole lot of functionalities which you repeat or which you code each time over and over again, but actually are not DB2 related. To give you an example, if you want to repeat a dot 80 times on a screen, and you can code it, if you code it one time, yeah, then it's good enough. So you put that in a function, you store it in a library, you call it from there, and it's every time the same function that you use. Same goes, for example, if you want to have input read from the keyboard. So if someone has to type something in and you want to restrict it to some kind of a range of values, yeah, you code it once, you put it in a library, and you can use it and reuse it over and over again. Now, to give you some idea, I'm going to blow up my screen a bit. This go. I have a few pictures taken from the script, and I'll go them through in order so that you have an idea on how the things or how the script is somewhat created. So at a former client, we had a discussion about how you can have a script describe itself in such a way that whenever new functionality is created, that you do not have to edit 3 document words, or that you have to start up a Confluence page and do some typing there, but that a script should be self-documenting. That does not mean that you have to, or that you can document everything within your script, but that you give a highlight or a fast highlight on what your script, how you can use your script, and which parameters that you can, for example, use. I have come up with the idea that I stole from HTML to put it between some tags, being the starting header tag and stopping header tag, and that you are going to specify whatever the parameters are that are going to be used, and if they are mandatory and or if they are optional. Also, if you can use them in shorthand, or if you can use them in the longer version. Now, if you have this one, the -i or the minus instance, what does that actually mean, and what are you trying to set by using these parameters? So with this one, you are, with this script, it is mandatory, for example, to add the instance and add the database name. Also, when connecting to a database, it might be useful that you give a username and so on and so forth. So first thing that I have at the beginning of my script is that you, one, tell the name of the script, a short description, and that you are going to specify all the parameters that are existing. What is the nice thing of it is that at the moment that you are starting the script and you forget to add any of these parameters, or that you use a wrong parameter, I will use this information to show it to you, so that you get the information at the tip of your fingers the moment that you are using the script. So you get this information returned back to you the moment that you do something wrong. Next part that I have is a whole set of constants. So a script does, and certainly not Bash or Corn Shell, they are not acquainted with any kind of constants or variables, but you can set them, or you can assign certain values to variables. So as a few of them are actually always returning, I mark them together, or I put them together in a paragraph constants, and there you have all your constants in one single place. So you have your short switches, you have your long switches, whether they need a value when they are given or when they can be used alone. Same for the long version. A host name on the server that you are working, actually it's a constant, so you can call it a constant as well. I put some naming conventions in it, starting my variables or constants with a -c, so that you get an idea when you are using it in your script, whether you have to search it in your paragraph of constants, or that you have to search it somewhere else. So I was talking about having the parameters here within a header tag and a /header tag. I have one function that comes back in every script, or which is the part of the script template, which is called the script usage. The script usage will read out this information whenever you have given some parameters which are wrong, command line switches, I have to say actually, or if something goes wrong, for example, someone has given up the instance name but has forgotten the database name, that is all handled within the script usage, and then you'll get the information, okay, these are all the parameters being mandatory or optional, and you forgot to enter a value for this command line switch. Then next topic that I have is even though that Bash or Corn Shell or in some other scripting language as well, they do not enforce you to have variables declared upfront. I think it's a good idea to do so. So I made a hook name where you can have a primary initialization of whatever variable you are using. What is nice within, for example, a corn shell is that you can have a type set so that you can have your instance name always in a lowercase and your database name always in an uppercase, or that you can have variables which are always an integer or always having an integer value. L the L timestamp today is actually it could be named as a constant as well, because this one I will always use to have the naming conventions of my log files aligned. Right. The documentation being the header, we have the script usage where we show what was wrong when when starting the script. We have the constants, we have variables. Then it comes down to having your libraries loaded, where you can have your common functions. So that is whatever is not DB2 but still common is put in the common functions include. And if you want to have the one if you want to have a communication with DB2, you can include the library. And then it comes down to testing whatever input parameter is given. And you have to test it if it is correct, yes or no. So this is actually a piece of code which you have to copy, and after this one, you are going to check all the values if you got instance information, if you got database information, and so on and so forth. Once you have received all your input, for sure, you have to check if whatever is mandatory, if it is actually receiving a value. And then a nice one was a discussion that was existing between myself and Günther as well. I had introduced a verbose variable. And when you turned on the verbose, the script would start explaining what it was actually doing, and from one function it hopped to another function that you could see on screen which track was being served while executing your script. We've inversed that now, and we have introduced the option quiet instead of the option verbose, and we are now going to send output to the screen always, unless you have set that or you have specified that we want no communication at all. Now, to have that, to be sure that I always have the values that I want, I'm going to check, for example, if verbose has a value which is different than no. So then the verbose will be set to yes, and it will start screaming to the screen at all times. If you give your parameter minus quiet, then it has a value of no, and then it will stay calm. This way, if I do something like this, I can provoke that my variable has only two possible values, being no or being yes, and nothing else. Next hook that I wanted to have is the logging. So when I looked at when I came at Allianz, and the backup script was a good example. The backup images and the log files and the whole thing, they were all over the place. By forcing where the logging has to be done, so we created a little tree view where we can check or where we decided, okay, if we have a log, we put it there, and if we have a result file, we put it there. With this hook, you can follow these standards, and you will always put your log files or your result files in the same directory structure, or in the same directory structure, so that your files will not be all over the place. The advantage of it is, at the moment that you are looking for something, then you know by heart where you have to go to. To give you an idea, we will always dump everything in the same log base directory, and we will have it host it in a subdirectory, host related, instance related, and in many times database related, so that there's really a distinction of all files, being it log. When we have all the preparation and pre-testing and all done, then we can actually get to work, and we can and do stuff. I have here also a little example on how you could use then, for example, a DB2 functionality, which is hidden in the DB2 common library. When all that is done, we turn off every kind of debug information, and we return 0. Does that mean that my script will always return 0? No. Within my main work, I can have other returns or exit values. That's up to you to decide at that point. But if the script runs fine until here, then it will return with a fixed value of 0. So I'm here at the point where I can take questions, should someone have one or two.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Eddy. At this moment, I'm opening the mic to everyone. So everyone can unmute himself or herself, and we can ask whatever question you have for Eddy.
Hi, Eddy. Really very nice, interesting. And one question. In the case that you want to share the libraries between several servers, usually how do you do that? How do you do that? Sorry.
Well, I think it depends a little bit on your shop. Here, there is chosen to put it in a shared directory, which is this directory which is shared across multiple servers, and the libraries and the script itself are put into that shared directory. Let me see if I can show it to you. No, other way around. Yes, here. Come on. Yep. In, for example, the constants, I have here a constant script dir. So my within the constants, I'm going to search in which directory that my script is executed at that time. And if I find in that same directory one of my libraries, then I'm going to include it. So at this shop, we have put everything in a shared directory. At another shop, we have or we had a directory on each server, and we copied it. We copied everywhere in the same directory.
Okay. Yeah, it has sense. Yeah.
So, Eddy, I have a general question. If, based on your experience, right, and your environment and what you have done so far, what would be the language that you would recommend today for somebody that should start scripting this kind of scripts?
Well, I'm a little bit spoiled by that I've been using a whole lot of scripting languages. Over the last years, I've been solely been using Corn Shell script. Now, why did I or do I use Corn Shell script is because I'm mainly or I've been mainly working on Linux environments, and then the Corn Shell is almost always available. On the other hand, I think if you have more skilled people, that having another language like a Python or I would say, no, I'm not going to say Perl because Perl is not new stuff anymore, but you could also use Python for another kind of scripting language. The only problem that I see with that, and that's what we saw in the past as well, is that you have Python script developed. Python is still a living thing, so every little now and then they bring up a new version, and then you have to retest it again. While Corn Shell and Bash Shell, they are as ancient as it comes, and yeah, they are quite robust and tested through. Don't know if that kind of answer your question, but I was, for example, thinking also at Allianz when I started to ask if it better be Python, but as there was already so many legacy scripting done, being in Bash and being in Corn Shell, I kept it in Corn Shell.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So in my experience, you need to know a little bit of everything, and you have to know what is the best for each situation. There is no one solution for everything. Is that anything that you would agree upon, or that you think is correct?
Well, with whatever we have created up until now, so I started with the famous backup script, which is coming back a bit. But by testing it and by reusing it and putting new functionalities into it and making it more and more robust, we have actually a very strong script. And the moment that we change or that we adapt our way of working by introducing something like Ansible, this script and this template is actually ready for it. And yeah, so you have to be open upfront of what all might be coming, and then try to use the right technology.
Right. Thank you. Any other question? Any other comment? Nope. All right. Eddy, what was it?
Yeah, I had one closing remark. You all see that the script name here is a DB2 template. everyone then will think, oh my God, there's DBA guys, they only think of themselves and create a DB2 template. But this kind of stuff, if you throw out whatever starts with DB2 underscore, you can for sure create your own template or a second template next to it. We don't want too many templates either, but you got to think forward, and it's not because this example that I'm giving you is a DB2 template that it has to scare you off. You can for sure create a template for CheckMK as well, or any kind of other scripting that you're doing. And that was my last remark.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Eddy. All right. That was a very good way of ending the week, no? Okay. So I'm going to get the burden of becoming the presenter again.
All right.
Right. Thank you very much, Eddy.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
No. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Eddy.
Thanks, Eddy.
Thank you very much, Eddy. Very interesting indeed.
It was good, huh?
Yes.
Right. So we really like your feedback. So if you have suggestions, topics, or just you want to send kudos to Eddy, send us an email. So we have been discussing about possible topics to come. We have in the pipe topics related to DB2, more scripting, practical demo of Ansible, a practical demo of a Git and GitHub that can more or less help to solve the question from Iñaki. How can you share this kind of script or libraries among several servers? So we are cooking a list, but the idea is that we prepare the list for ourselves. So do not hesitate to send comments or to suggest topics. And of course, if you want to present something, you are more than welcome to do so. This is not supposed to be anything other than just a tech talk, a tech discussion. So you don't need to expend necessarily a huge amount of time. But if you have a topic that you want to share or a question that you want to ask, just don't hesitate to let us know. Right? On that, unless there are last remarks, I tell thank you, Eddy. Thank you, everyone, and then see you next Friday. Have a nice weekend.
Have a nice weekend, and thank you very much.
Thank you,
See you.
Eddy. Thanks.
Okay,
Bye.
see you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Eddy. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.